Live from the TV30 studio, here is Jim Schneider.
Well, good evening and welcome to In Focus. We're glad that you've joined us for our broadcast this evening. We have a number of matters we're going to talk about tonight because virtually on everybody's mind is a matter of public safety, things that are happening right here in our community, things that are happening in our county. We're concerned by rising crime, we're concerned by violence, we're concerned by the car thefts, the reckless driving, and so much more. You know the list as you drive throughout our county system here. And the question that many have, are we doomed to this escalation of public safety issues that have been a great concern, or are there solutions? Is there a way out of this? Is there a way that we can see correction take place? We're going to discuss a number of public safety issues tonight. It's our privilege to have in our studio the Sheriff of Milwaukee County, Danita Ball. And Sheriff Ball, good to have you here tonight.
Thank you for inviting me.
Hey, you were sworn into office this past January, and I'm confident that there are many people who have never really met you before, known about yourself. So before we talk about some of the issues that are impacting the Sheriff's Department, let's find out a little bit about your background first. You actually have devoted your life, a good portion of your life, to public service. Tell us about that passion.
Great question. I started out in college just working in the criminal justice arena, just figuring out what I wanted to do. And so I actually volunteered as a volunteer probation officer, and so that got me hooked into public service. But I've always worked, and so as a result, I ended up majoring in criminal justice, and as a result, I ended up in Milwaukee because my mother, who didn't raise me, she was here at the time, and I wanted to work within the field of criminal justice and be a public servant. My grandmother instilled in me the value of helping others, and so I ended up applying to the Milwaukee Police Department, and after about a year, I was selected and became a police officer, and that was in 1985. And so as a result, I have been working in law enforcement in the public service arena for, the last few years.
Some 35 years
Yes.
you've had in law enforcement and also that of criminal justice education.
Yes, absolutely. And it's rewarding because what it does is it allows me to help people. And we encounter people on some of the worst days of their lives. And I have always thought that if I could make a difference, then it would, help them and make me feel good. And so that's what I've been trying to do throughout my career in public service, is to be a servant to help others, particularly those who may not be able to help themselves.
And then former Sheriff Ernell Lucas actually approached you about serving a second command.
Absolutely. When he was elected sheriff, he approached me and asked me if I would come and run the day-to-day operations of the sheriff's office. And he and I had a back and forth conversation regarding that, and I decided that I wanted to do it. I wanted to help the citizens of Milwaukee County, and as a result, when he left, it got me into this position. So.
Very fine. And so you transitioned from the police department to the sheriff's department at that time?
I was working in academia, actually. I was in charge of Bryant & Stratton's criminal justice program for its 3 colleges in Wauwatosa, Bayshore, and downtown. And so I was doing that, working on my PhD as well. And, I had finished up the coursework and I had graduated, and he asked me to come and assist him to assist the citizens of Milwaukee County.
Well, this past January, you were sworn in and watched your ceremony there, but I'm just going to take a brief clip from your swearing-in ceremony after you took the oath. You gave an address before the audience, and there's something that captured my attention that I thought would capture the attention of our viewers as well. And so we're going to watch that video clip and have you respond to it, okay?
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
And so as I was sitting here and I listened to the speakers and the reflections on the significance of this moment, it was not lost on me the history that I am making. And so as a result of that, I truly want to say, to God be the glory. For he is the reason why I am standing here today. And I believe that I have a mission and a purpose. And as a result, that is why I'm standing on this stage with this responsibility. As you know, this is not an easy job, whether it's for a man or for a woman. But I believe that the Lord placed me here, and as a result, I know that he has great things in store for Milwaukee County under my leadership.
That's just a brief excerpt from that day, and a very momentous day in your life and for the County of Milwaukee as well. But tell us how your faith does impact you as an individual and how it impacts what you see as your role as sheriff.
Well, it has always been important to me. I talked just briefly about my upbringing, but my grandmother, she instilled the love of the Lord, my faith in God, and I have always carried that through me, with me in everything that I have done. So it's really a really big part of my life. And so I'm here because of my faith in the Lord. I had a conversation with him before I decided to even run. And I said, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, if you believe that I can make a difference, then, let me know. And so let me know that I need to run. And so I told about 3 different people, and then they came through from the floodgates. The floodgates opened up. And so as a result, I ran. And I believe that I'm here because of the purpose that he has for me, and that is still to be a public service, but to do it on a higher plane. And so my faith has always been important to me in everything that I do. I just believe that the Lord protects me and carries me and looks after me and leads me, guides me, and protects me. And so as I'm going through this journey as the sheriff, I believe he will continue to do the same thing because I continue to lean on him for everything. And as a result, he gives me that knowledge that I need, or the person that I need to talk to. But because of my faith in him, I believe that anything is possible.
Indeed. And how we need the Lord no matter what our vocation is, but it certainly is, as you see your role as sheriff in that regard. You've mentioned your grandmother a few times, and I'd like you to comment on that because I know she had a great impact on your life in regard to your own family situation. And how important do you see that role of a father, a mother, a grandparent in the life of their children and grandchildren?
I think it's very instrumental to have someone in your corner, someone that's telling you that you can do it, someone that's instilling the right values in you. My mom was a single mom, and so I was raised by my grandmother. So it was important that I had that stability, and my grandmother provided that stability for me until she passed. But also she, as I stated before, she told me about, or introduced me to the Lord and my faith. And also she told me about the, hard work, that you're not going to get anywhere in life unless you are willing to work hard. And education, if you get your education, they can't take it away from you. So she had some things that she instilled in me that I carry today, and one was my faith in the Lord.
Sheriff Danita Ball is with us here tonight on In Focus, and just getting to know her a little bit more as new sheriff in Milwaukee County, her background and the public safety issues here as well. You have an acronym that you have used, SERVE, and you've mentioned that word SERVE several times: support, enhance, restore, value, and evaluate this. Just comment on this for just a moment, that acronym.
Well, you started out the program talking about being a public servant, and so I think it's our mission to serve. Mm-hmm. And as a result, that's the sheriff's office focus. It would be to serve the citizens of Milwaukee mm-hmm. County. And so we're going to do that by looking at our focus and evaluating what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong and how we can do it better. So I just think that it's more of a mission that we're here to serve, and we're to mm-hmm. serve in a capacity that gives God the glory. Mm-hmm.
You, in your address, said this statement too, and it caught my attention. You said, "I'm not standing here to check a box, but to roll up my sleeves and go to work." Tell us about the priorities that you have set for the Sheriff's Department under your tenure.
Okay. So, of course, we've had an issue with staffing. At one point, we were down over 50% mm-hmm. of our correctional officers. And so as a result, we've beefed up our recruitment, and our vacancy rate was 50% in that area, but now it's down 36%. And so it could be more. I mean, we could have, the vacancy rate could be reduced even more, but what we have been doing is taking members from our correctional officer ranks and putting them in our deputy ranks. And so that's one of the things that we have been working on, is increasing our staffing. And also mental health and employee wellness have been a focal point for me. And so we've done several things around mental health. And we've had unannounced visits in our jail just to make sure that our people are staying on top of the things that they need to do. Mm-hmm. The Department of Corrections is doing that as well. The National Institution of Corrections is also conducting unannounced visits. Myself, my executive command staff, we have a barrier program where we have, on one of the floors, we have erected a barrier so that those in our care and our custody don't try and jump over the fence, not fencing, but the
like the railing?
Thank you, the mm-hmm. railing, and harm themselves. So we have erected that barrier, and also we have a occupational compliance and safety, occupant compliance and safety person, and what he is tasked with doing is reviewing the footage of the rounds that we have done to make sure that the members who are doing them are doing it in compliance, and mm-hmm. also making sure that the logs are done. So doing a lot of compliance things. We have, I have in the preliminary stages of talking to a mental health counselor to come in and talk to those who have been incarcerated for the first time, so to give them tips on how to cope. But also, if you have been there long term, then your mental capacity may decrease. And so that person will also have a conversation with them, coping tips with them, so that they can continue to adjust. Also, we're looking at the prison behind bars program, so that those who are behind bars can still have touch points with their family members, which would increase their mental health. So we have, and also, if heaven forbid, there is a death in custody, what we have is a chaplain who is a liaison with the family, so that they can provide mm-hmm. not only that spiritual guidance, but also mm-hmm. be a liaison and bring forth their concerns. So those are some of the issues. The capacity issue is another challenge for us. as a result of a consent decree, our capacity limit should not go over 960, and we've been close to that 960, and sometimes we've been over, and we've had to have a agreement with Racine County to take some of our occupants there, but the Community Reintegration Center, which used to be the House of Corrections, they are taking our people as well, and the state facilities. So those are some of the challenges that we have been facing here lately, but we've managed to work through a lot of them and get a lot of things done.
Sure, and I know the jail system, there have been several in-custody deaths that have happened. You've had suicide that's happened within the jail there as well. Just last Friday, there was a county sheriff's jail officer charged in the death of a 49-year-old with a felony count of misconduct. Is this something you're able to comment at all pertaining to this situation?
Well, all of those deaths are in various forms of review, but let me just preface all of that by saying that our goal is not to have anyone die in our custody, but the people in our jail come from the community. And so in the community, we have people who have health issues, we have people who have mental health issues, and as a result, we see the jail as a microcosm of what we're seeing in the community. The only problem is that if someone dies, because of a health condition in the community, we don't hear about it. If they commit suicide, we generally don't hear about it. So, but it was very disheartening when I found out that one of our members was going to be charged, because that's one of the things that we harp on, is making sure that we're doing those checks, because if you don't do them in a timely manner, then if someone is intending upon harming themselves, then they will have an opportunity to do that. And so as a result, it was not our finest hour, to be honest. And I can't, like I said, comment on the different deaths because of the possible litigation, and also that they are still under review, whether it's through the district attorney's office, or maybe Waukesha may still be investigating some of them. I don't think that they have given them all to the district attorney. And then once the district attorney makes his decision as to if he's going to charge our member or not, we do an administrative review to see if there are any personnel charges that we're going to bring forth, and if there are, then we will do a personnel investigation. So we're still in those various stages.
Sure. Now, when you talked about doing the checks, many times people just hear the headline, inmate died, but not really know what you go through as a sheriff's department. When you talk about doing these checks, what are those kind of protocols? What do you actually go through to ensure the safety of inmates?
So if someone is in our mental health ward, then the checks are done every 15 minutes, and that means that we go and we see signs of life. And so
that's pretty intensive. I mean, 4 times every hour.
Yes, yes. And also, if the person is in general population, then it's every 30 minutes. And again, we're looking for signs of life. Now, if it doesn't occur within that established period of time, you have to be able to explain. I was talking to another occupant, so I was a couple of minutes late getting to the next check. But we're pretty rigid about what the time is. The state says 45 minutes, and we do 30 minutes for general population. But I do want to say one thing, is that last year we booked into our custody and into our care over 14,000 people.
Wow.
And so that is half of what we did prior to COVID. And unfortunately, we did have 4 deaths. But again, our goal is not to have 4 deaths. And so we are doing, our checks generally, but sometimes things do happen. And then as a result, we have to confess that, hey, somebody did something wrong. And so we will do better. They will be held accountable.
Yeah, and I'm believing that the population as a whole does not understand the number of incarcerations, or 14,000 is rather staggering.
Absolutely. And we had over 1,400 emergency medical situations where someone was in distress, maybe having breathing problems, heart problems. And so, and WellPath, who is our medical vendor, they had to respond over 1,400 times last year just for that. And generally, if it's not a situation in which they can handle, then we will send them to the hospital.
Okay. Sheriff Ball is with us here tonight, newly elected Milwaukee County Sheriff, and public safety is on the minds of many people, as you know, in the county here. And as you ran for office, you stated this on your website: Milwaukee County is at a crossroads right now. Crime, especially violent crime, is increasing at alarming rates. I'm running for sheriff because we have to reverse this trend. So tell us about your concern for the crime and the violence that we're seeing in Milwaukee County.
We had 3 years of record-breaking crime, and it just seemed like it was not going to go down. And as a result, I know that the community deserved better. And so it's about us working together, the collaborations. There are a lot of people doing a lot of great things, but we weren't coming together and working together to make a difference. And I just believe that and I know that we can do better. Milwaukee County deserves better. People deserve to be able to walk down the street without having to be concerned about a reckless driver, to walk in their parks or have their kids play in the parks, to drive on the expressway. So, why shouldn't we have this? We just have to make sure that we get a handle on crime, and that just means all of us working together to make sure that it's being done. It starts, in some cases, it starts in the home, it continues school, and just within the community. We should be the last line of defense. We don't want to go out there and arrest our way through this problem. We're trying to educate people, but if it takes arresting someone so that the community can be safe, that is exactly what we're going to do. Again,
the matter of reckless driving is a concern of so many. Now, does the Sheriff's Department patrol city streets at all, or limited to the highway system and county roads?
We have done both, As you know, I talked about the collaboration, the partnership, and sometimes we work in tandem with the local jurisdictions, but primarily
you have 19 of those, right?
Exactly. And that's a force multiplier. As you know, some of the jurisdictions only have a handful of officers. And so when we're working together, then it's just strengthened the numbers, and we can have more of an impact. But generally, we are on the expressway, and we have over 150 miles of expressway that we have to focus on. But we have a reckless driving initiative, and what we've done is we've looked at the data to see where the reckless driving occurs the most, and the time of day and the day of the week. And so we are concentrating our efforts on that. I had a meeting in February with the 19 municipalities. The chiefs are their designee. And so we came together, we talked about what we're doing in our different communities, our respective jurisdictions. But what came out of that meeting was the hope of more collaboration between each other so that we can have a greater impact. As you know, a car has no boundary. They can start on the expressway, end up in any one of those municipalities. And so it behooves us to work together to have a greater impact.
Is driving under the influence still a major issue that's impacting us?
Yes, it is. In fact, last night, 2 of our deputies were hit. They were responding to a rollover, and one of our cars was hit. The deputy was hit. Another car responded, and that car was hit. And both of them were drunk drivers, you know. And so it is.
And how is their condition before we continue on?
They are doing good. Thank God
good.
for that. But, you know, it's unfortunate that you feel that you want to put your life in danger, but also the lives of others. And one of the persons, their blood alcohol level was 0.39, you know, and they really should be in a hospital. But, you know, so it is still a problem for us.
The Move Over law, are people abiding by that?
Most people are, but we still have those who are moving in the wrong direction. So instead of moving away from the officer, what they're doing is they're going towards the incident, and so they end up hitting the officer. But what we are looking at implementing, which we should be rolling out in a few weeks, is the Haas Alert program. And what it does is it allows the drivers to sign up for this program, and if they're on Google Maps or Waze or any of those programs, or if they have a newer vehicle, they will receive an alert. And so if there is a first responder there and they are starting, I think it's maybe like 100 yards from the where the first responder is, they receive a signal. And so they should, you know, it helps them to start moving over. And so we're hoping that it's going to have an impact on, you know, those who are driving and who want to make sure that our first responders are safe.
Sure. Not only driving under the influence, but there's another issue that certainly rises to the forefront, and that's the opioid-related issues, the overdoses. Just earlier this month, a high level of fentanyl overdoses took place here in Milwaukee County. I mean, it's shocking, the number of those who died within just 16-hour period. 2021, there was a reported 623 drug overdose deaths. 2022 is still waiting to be finalized here yet, but the numbers are rather staggering with all of this. Every 16 hours, somebody dies in Milwaukee County due to overdose. Your comments on what we're seeing on this, and do we know what the source of the problem is? Is it a collapsed southern border? What's driving this flow of fentanyl and opioids up to our area?
Well, there's a couple of families or cartels that are driving a lot of the fentanyl, and it's believed that there's some bad batches out there. But we're seeing it on our expressway. Our deputies are going to these one-car accidents, or we think there's a vehicle that is in distress, and then we get there and the driver is unresponsive. And so that person made a conscious effort to do drugs and get on the expressway and put themselves and somebody else in harm. There have been several times where we have used Narcan 4 or more doses to bring somebody back to life. And so, yeah, we're seeing the rise in drugs, and they're lacing it with fentanyl, and a lot of people don't know that, and they don't know the effects of it, and so they're taking it. And as a result, some are dying from it, or some we are bringing back to life.
I know that you are not only concerned about what this is doing to us, but is there a solution to this? Are you talking about solutions and how we can better address this? Not only Milwaukee, it's really hitting us as a state as a whole.
And it's not just a state, it's throughout the country. I was just in some training with some colleagues throughout the country, and then they have the same issue. And so I know we're trying to get at the root cause of it, and we're hoping that those who have the addiction will get the help that they need. But short of that, we see that our deputies are putting more Narcan out there to make sure that they have enough when we are running into people who are on expressways. You see vending machines that have Narcan on there. But to me, that's going to help. But the solution is getting those who are addicted to drugs help so that they do not depend on drugs, and also they don't, heaven forbid, run into a bad batch and, they have no other choice.
And actually, there's never a good batch of fentanyl either.
It really isn't,
right.
but yes.
Now, I saw in the Journal-Sentinel the other day that there is a $101 million opioid litigation settlement recovery over the last couple of years for Milwaukee County. And likely this is outside your jurisdiction as such, but are you aware if any of this money is going by our county board or those involved, the Department of Health, to help prevent this from taking place, to deal with some of those addiction issues?
I don't know firsthand, but it's likely that the different boards are receiving money and making sure that it's being allocated where it needs to go. We have the Department of Human Services, who most likely is getting some of that money, as well as some of the clinics who I would surmise is getting it, to make sure that those who are experiencing an overdose or want the help, that they can actually come in and get the help that they need.
We're talking tonight in Focus with Milwaukee County Sheriff Danita Ball, and talking about a number of issues impacting us as a county. In a short while, we'll give you opportunity to call in with a question or text, so be ready to do that here in just a few moments. You're likely familiar with what's going on in the Milwaukee City Police and Fire Commission as it relates to body cam footage, and the policy that we've had for being able to hold that footage for some 45 days. They've just made a decision to bring that down to 15 days. And there's been a lot of discussion on this. The victims' families within 48 hours would have access to watch this. And I know they don't have jurisdiction over the Sheriff's Department as such. But from the perspective of law enforcement, what's your reaction to this? Is this realistic from your perspective, thinking even of your sheriff's deputies?
I think it should be decided on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes allowing the video to be shown before the investigation is done can taint the investigation. And so, and depending on where the footage is taken, if there's footage in our jail, what it can do is compromise the safety of those who are in our care and those who work there. So I think it should be decided more along the circumstances of the situation, instead of a blanket decision that it will be released in this amount of time.
Are all your deputies wearing body cams?
Yes.
The war on police has been happening across this nation as well, sadly. And we just saw a couple of officers up in the northwest part of the state of Wisconsin tragically killed in the line of duty. Why are we seeing this escalation on the war on police officers, deputies? Any idea what's causing that?
I think to me, it's like it's not a value. You don't value human life. And we used to hold law enforcement to a higher standard, and we looked up to them. And because of some bad apples, then we all are being painted with that same brush, which is unfair, because most of us out there are doing great work.
Right.
And so as a result, I think that people are targeting their anger in the wrong way. And so if they see a law enforcement officer, they are reaching out to them or targeting them. And so, again, I just think it goes back to, not valuing human life, and we don't value each other. And it's unfortunate, because I think we can turn this tide of violence, whether it's towards us or against others, if we would value each other more.
We were very concerned recently by what we had just seen in Chicago happening with the mass of teens that had took over part of Chicago, and the looting, the vandalism, really the scaring of tourists and everybody that was down there. Are there concerns that something like that's going to enter our county as well?
Absolutely, because what we see that occurs across the country, we would generally see it eventually happen here. And so I think we've had it to a certain degree. MPD, I believe, have experienced it, and we did assist them with it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens here. So that means that we need to have more of a focus before it gets entrenched like we've seen throughout the country.
How can we better get the residents, the citizens of our county engaged with the Sheriff's Department? How would you like to see the public get better engaged with what you and your officers are doing?
Well, our public affairs and community engagement team, they going out into the community, partnering with the community to do things that would improve the lives of Milwaukee County residents. And so if the community could engage with them in that respect, or we have a Sheriff's Office Citizen Academy that we're getting ready to launch. I believe the first class is going to be in June. And so if they want to get a window into what we do, why we do it, and how we do it, that would be a good opportunity. We're also going to have a Behind the Badge podcast where we're opening up our agency. So we're talking to different areas within the Sheriff's Office so that the community can know what we're doing. And so all of that is going to assist with us getting to know each other better, working better together, and I believe making a difference in the lives of others.
Milwaukee County Sheriff Danita Ball with us here tonight on In Focus, and we'd like to open the phone lines, give you an opportunity to ask a question, or perhaps something the sheriff has said has prompted a question in your mind you'd like to probe further. Our phone number here tonight to the In Focus program is 414-935-3030. That's 414-935-3030. Toll free, you can reach us at 800-733-8830. That's 1-800-733-8830. And if you'd like to text in a brief comment or question, send us your first name and the community that you're texting from, and you can text that to 414-439-3585. That's 414-439-3585. Are you finding that the community as a whole is cooperating with the Sheriff's Department when you need that cooperation, or is there a wall built?
No, I believe that most of the community knows the importance of public safety and try to help whenever they can. They, give us tips regarding things that's going on, or if they witness something, they are willing to, call us and let us know and, share the information that they have. So overall, I believe the community is engaged in the Sheriff's Office, know that not only us, but the different municipalities, that there's a place for us, and they want us to succeed because they want to make sure that they have an environment that's free of crime.
And to do that, we need to cooperate with law enforcement.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Indeed. And taking your phone calls here tonight for In Focus, 414-935-3030. You mentioned staffing shortages in the corrections area in particular. Are you optimistic? Are recruits coming up? Possibilities here that people know that as summertime comes and warmer weather comes, that there's going to be that law enforcement presence that we need?
Absolutely. We have seen an increase in our recruitment efforts. We've had job fairs, and We've had, in one case, over 120 people to come out. We just had a list, and there was 60 people on the list. We have a hiring event that's coming up on the 27th. It's going to be at the Kazi Community Center. It's going to be from 10 to 6, and generally we have good responses because we make on-the-spot conditional offers. So we are encouraged by what we've seen in the past and believe that people will come out this time as well.
Okay. And friends, we'll be giving you a contact for the Sheriff's Office coming up later as well. You can jot down the information. Let's begin with David calling from Milwaukee. Hi, David. You're on the air. Hello, David. David, are you with us? We'll try one more time here. Okay. Guess we don't have that, David, but we got, well, maybe it's gone to another line. Hello, David. David, Milwaukee, go ahead. You're on the air. Go ahead, David. You're on the air.
Oh, okay. You can hear me now. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to say congratulations to Ms. Ball, or should I say Sheriff Ball. I really appreciate you. Go ahead and do that work, and we've been watching you, and we cheering for you. I hope that you can correct the things that need to be corrected and push the things that need to be pushed. And I have a picture that I have to send to you that I took for you back in the day at Juneteenth when you were an officer. So continue the good work. We watching and we praying for you, and we hope that you do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you, David. And that's something you appreciate when people are praying for you as sheriff.
Absolutely. I welcome their prayers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because if you're praying for me, you're praying for the community. Yeah. That's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm. And taking your calls tonight, lines are available, 414-935-3030. And again, our text line is 414-439-3585. Again, send your first name and the city you're texting from, 414-439-3585. We'll be getting another call here in just a moment. The whole matter of, we talked about the shortfalls of staff, but there's also been a shortfall of finances. So if you would comment on the significant financial shortfalls that we've seen in the Sheriff's Department, is there a path forward that you see where those issues, is a lack of taxpayer funding coming your direction, or is it use of overtime? What is causing the shortfalls?
Great question. As you know, the county has a finite pool of resources, and everyone in the county is trying to get money from that pool. Mm-hmm. And as a result, we have asked for different things such as more officers not because we're trying to increase our staff, but we're trying to reduce the overtime. Our officers are working sometimes 16-hour days. And so as a result, they're coming in on their shift, or they can come in at the beginning of their shift or come in after or stay after their shift. And so this is mandatory overtime. But if we had more officers or more deputies, what this would do is instead of paying someone time and a half to do that job, we're just paying them straight time to do that job. And then our members will have that wellness, be able to spend time with their families, have that downtime. And so a lot of things we have asked for, we have not been able to get. Some things we have got. In this last budget cycle, there was an effort to take $42 million out of a $54 million budget. And so to me, it says that maybe public safety is not the priority for those who were willing to bring forth resolutions or amendments to take money from us, because the money that they wanted to take from us would go to the transit system so that the kids can ride the bus all day long and not have to pay. Or if you have overdue library fees, you wouldn't have to pay that back. Mm-hmm. And so as a result, it was disheartening to see the lack of focus by some on public safety. Mm-hmm. But we do have people who are willing, those supervisors who are willing to work with us and who realize that public safety is important. And so as a result, we were able to prevail and keep, most of our money. However, I will say that it's a dogfight. It's to recognize that if we don't have public safety in our parks, in our communities, then businesses would not invest in our community. They're not going to want to come here. People are going to leave our communities. So,
and there goes the tax base with them.
Exactly. And then if you really look at it, public safety is only about 10% of the county's budget. And public safety is the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, the medical examiner's office, the Office of Emergency Management.
Wow.
And so that's all of it, and we get a portion of it. So
Let's go to Brad next in West Dallas. Hi, Brad, you're on the air.
Hi, Brother Jim. Your guest mentioned bad batches of, I assume she was talking about fentanyl, but there's a lot of powerful drugs out there. I would submit that all those batches are bad. And I think we know this because it kills, whether it's bad or pure or what. And the main problems for it are the idiotic and illegal border policy that this federal government we have has on the southern border. And in Milwaukee County, we've got a fake district attorney, Chisholm, who only prosecutes criminals as a last resort or not at all. And he's got a hand in the lack of respect that young people in trouble have towards our officers of the law. They know nothing will happen to them because nobody's prosecuting anybody. So I'd just like to know what she's got in mind for that.
Great. Thank you, Brad. Do we have a problem? Do we have a disconnect with the judicial system as it relates to those who are engaged? The officers will arrest somebody but see them on the streets in near record time.
we have, that has been a problem since I was a police officer. We felt like that we were doing the work, and sometimes we would take them to the Children's Detention Center, and they would be out before we finished the paperwork. Mm-hmm. I just think that we need to really focus on what's important, and public safety is important. And so if we're saying that it's important, then we all need to come to the table and see what we need to do to ensure that those bad actors are receiving the punishment that they deserve, so that the citizens within the community can enjoy, the creatures of life. Mm-hmm. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's go to Cynthia next in Milwaukee. Hi, Cynthia. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hi there. Cynthia,
I want to know how you allowed a mentally ill woman to die in your county jail.
Say that again.
You allowed a mentally ill woman that shouldn't have been in your jail to die in that jail. They were throwing things at her, making fun of her, and her family is just really horrified. Very beautiful woman, and she died in your county jail.
Okay,
Why
we're gonna.
Did you not transfer her to the mental health facility where they could take care of her needs?
Okay, thank you for the question here. I don't know the specifics of the situation, but
I'm not sure of the specifics either, but if someone is in our care and they should be in a mental health wing or mental health facility, oftentimes that they don't have the space. And so if the court has deemed there's an issue with competency, then we start that process in our jail before they even leave to go to Mendota or wherever they're going to go. Again, I'm not familiar with the situation, but we don't want anybody in our jail to perish. And we know it's hard on the families, but people who have mental illness, we have a mental health provider that works with them to ensure their safety. But oftentimes what people are doing, what we're seeing is that they monitor when someone leaves, and I have about this amount of time. And so if they're hell-bent on hurting themselves, then they find a way. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not familiar with that situation, but it seems like that may have been what occurred. But we don't throw things at our people in our care and our custody. We treat them with like they're humans. And so I'm wondering if it is Milwaukee County that she's referring to.
Okay. And again, we will be giving an email address and so forth for your office. And if she's got more information, she can contact your office as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's go to Kathy in Milwaukee. Hi, Kathy. You're on the air.
Hi. My question is kind of like the one the guy previously said. I think maybe the sheriff's department, the police department, might want to sit down with the judicial department, the DA's office. I feel you guys do your jobs, and these people are out in a split second. There isn't one day that I don't see somebody. If I'm out, there's somebody going through a stoplight. They're going flying down roads, flying down expressways, and I feel you guys need more help, and I feel you need more help with the judicial system to be on your side and ours.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for the call here tonight. So this is that era again. Are there talks with the judicial system, with the DA's office, regarding these types of situations?
Well, we have frequent talks or meetings with our criminal justice partners, and if there's an issue that we believe that needs to be addressed, then it's brought up. It's not just me bringing it up, but there's other entities that can bring it up as well. So we do have those regular meetings.
Got a number of texts that are coming in here as well. Okay. This is Kirk from Oak Creek. Can Milwaukee be tougher on crime, stiffer penalties, eliminating no cash bail? Many times the criminals are resisting arrest. How can that be addressed?
Unfortunately, we're the ones that house them, so we have nothing to do with the penalty. And so if you want to really make sure that your voice is heard, then you would have to talk to someone within the judicial system. And oftentimes it's your legislators, and they will bring forth those bills that can cause penalties to be stiffened.
This is Mike with a comment. He said, it is so wonderful to see another sheriff of faith. Our prayers are with you. God bless you and your staff. You are appreciated.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And then Amanda in Milwaukee is asking this question. Will the DARE program come back into schools?
I believe there has been some talk regarding, I don't know if it's DARE, but PAL for sure. But I know I would like to do something.
And what is PAL?
PAL is the Police Athletic League. And so it gives law enforcement and children an opportunity to interface with each other in a different setting other than where you're arresting someone and things like that. And so you have different activities, flag football, you have basketball, sometimes you have cooking classes and things like that where you get a chance to know each other differently. So that, I've heard that there's been some talk regarding that. The DARE program is more about drugs and keeping kids away from drugs, but I haven't heard anything as it relates to DARE. But again, the Sheriff's Office tried to work with kids, and we're looking at doing more things with kids around drugs and other, distracting or behaviors that could cause them harm.
Another text, this is from Shannon of Oak Creek, and she says, how do we re-educate kids in the community on the proper way citizens should act when being pulled over by law enforcement? It's been a part of our high school driver's education class that appears not to be taught anymore. And then, so that's one question. And then also, how do we change this culture of running away from the law? And then also, all the best to you, Danita Ball. You are a blessing.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Those are good questions, and I wish I had the perfect answer for you, but it's about, respecting others and respecting the law. And if you get stopped, take your consequences. If you can't do the crime, then don't do it. And so, but what they're doing is what we're finding is that they're watching these video games, maybe Grand Theft Auto, and they are running from the police, and so they think it's fun. So we need to find a way in which to engage them into some positive behavior. But I have always said, if you have a problem with the police, just listen to what they have to say, do what they have to say, and then file a complaint later instead of the disrespect that we're getting.
So if somebody is pulled over by a sheriff's deputy on the highway, what should their reaction be at that time? How should they conduct themselves?
They should listen to what the deputy is saying, follow their instructions, and if they disagree with what the deputy has to say, then they can file a complaint with the Internal Affairs, or they can contact their supervisor and file a complaint. But oftentimes we get people who are very disrespectful, and why are you stopping me? You could be stopping a homicide suspect, or things like that. You are speeding, and so I'm out here trying to make sure that the roadways are safe, and so I'm stopping you. But we get so much disrespect.
Yeah. One other aspect, and that is the matter of personal responsibility. We like to shove that off to somebody else. Just address that matter for a moment, that matter of personal responsibility. Because we see at times, people do something and get off the hook, but how do we need to address this area of personal responsibility?
Well, first of all, I think that we have to think we have to love ourselves, and then we have to be good citizens, and then we have to be willing to follow the law. And oftentimes that we're not, and so, or maybe we don't have someone there talking to us about these things that will keep them safe, will keep them from getting harmed by the police, as they say. And so because they don't have that foundation or somebody that is modeling that behavior, what they're seeing is things that is unhealthy for them, whether it is video games or it's some friends of theirs or within their community. And so they're modeling that behavior, but all it takes is somebody to be a positive influence into someone's life. Yeah. We don't have to say we're going to save our entire block. Let's start with one person.
1% at a time.
Exactly, and then I think we will see a big difference.
Sheriff, thank you for being with us here tonight. We appreciate you carving time out of your busy schedule to join and speak to our viewers this evening.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me.
Sheriff Danita Ball with us tonight. If you'd like to contact the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department, if you have further questions on things, the website is county.milwaukee.gov/sheriff. That's county.milwaukee.gov/sheriff. The number, non-emergency line, 414-278-4766. And you can always send an email as well to sheriff@milwaukeecountywi.gov. Again, thank you for your service to our community here. And viewers, we ask that you pray for Sheriff Ball in this new role and the responsibilities, the weight that she carries. God bless you, folks. Thanks for joining us tonight on TV 30's In Focus.